Hello everybody. Today I'm working on this turtle. So this has a design in it that's meant to be like an underwater design. There's like a snorkeler up here and the underwater. There's fish. So I was thinking about how to do this one, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try. This is also has like it's indented. So you have the raised area that will, once you pour it, will actually be matte, and then the non-raised area, which will be shiny. So I think what I'm going to do is in the non-raised area, I'm going to try to pour blue in there, and then I'll use probably some micas to color the raised area. Hey everybody. I'm just doing a voiceover because I wanted to explain what happened here. When I originally thought I was going to do this, I was going to do the bottom part in the lowered sections in this clear, and then use some mica powder, and then use a different color on top. What I ended up doing was using the same color on top, so I could have skipped this step altogether, and I didn't have to do this, blue on the bottom would have saved me some time. And just started with the micas and then covered it all with the darker blue. So I'm going to skip to the next section, and you'll see that it does have that really thin layer of blue, but that this is why when I got to the second part, I thought, let's just make it easy and do it all in the blue. All right, so we have our base coat on, and um, it's not perfect, but it's so the what I was trying to do is just get it on the areas that were sunken down in. Now I did go over in some spots. I'm not going to try to remove that because it actually just brings it up from every place, and I don't want to try to cut it because I don't want to ruin my mold. So I'm just going to got some little bits in there. Um, So I was thinking about how I wanted to do the rest. So I think I'm down here in this water part. I'd like to add some of this to the resin. So I'm going to, I picked this up at, I think I picked it up at Hobby Lobby when I was in the States a couple months ago. So I'm going to try this. And I think for the rest of the turtle parts, because turtles are green, I'm going to use this mica. It's called Moss Green, and I'm going to use that. So I'm just going to do the raised areas in this moss green. I'm going to try to use some of the stones. I want them to kind of stay down in this bottom area. I don't want them pushing their way up. So I may pour this bottom area first and kind of bring it up this way a little bit until it dries, and then do the rest. But I'm not going to use a dark color in here because I don't want to darken up the blue area a whole lot, and I don't want to this, like in a black ground, this would get washed out, just a regular mica. So I'll probably use a lighter color. I might even go with like more of the blue. I haven't decided yet. So I'm just going to get started with this this mica, and I'm just going to paint the raised areas, and then I'll clean off any place I get on the blue. I'll probably just wipe that off. And once I get this done, then I'll mix up my resin to do the second part of the pour. All right, so I'm just going to continue with this, and I'll be back when it's done. All right, so I finished adding the green mica, and I went ahead and mixed up some blue. I decided to go with a fairly translucent, but it looks dark in the cup. It's fairly translucent on the stick. I actually used this Liquitex acrylic ink to color it with a few drops of the Let's Resin green dye, just to give it a little bit of a not quite so bright blue. So I'm just going to pour this in. I don't want it to be real dark. And I do want to put I almost forgot to put my stones in the bottom here. So I do want to put some of those in. Okay, so I just put a little popsicle stick under there to tip it up a bit. I can see where some of my green, I maybe should let it dry a little bit more. I did put use the heat gun on it to try to get it to dry a bit quicker. Let me just get quite a few bubbles in here, so let me just try to get some of those out. Definitely see that green mica. That's okay. It's just going to give it some personality. Okay, and I'm going to add some of these stones in. I do want them just to stay down here at the bottom so that they're in the part of the water. So I'm just going to add those in here. Sorry guys, I want you to see what I'm doing. Just going to add some in here. Now his fin comes down here, so I don't really want any stones on his fin flapper. I don't know what you call it on a turtle, on a sea turtle. Okay, add a few more here. Just going to fill this up with our stones. Okay, I'm just going to bring my light. I know it kind of shines, but I need to be able to see. I also want the stones in here, but not on his flapper fin or whatever you call it. So I'm just going to try to keep these under that. And I'll use a stick to kind of direct them a little bit. It's okay because it will show from the other side that it's his fin. It will just look like it's coming over top of the rocks a bit, which works too. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more resin just down here. I don't want it to overflow because I do have that stick having it propped up a little bit. And when I take that stick out, it's going to flow back up into the turtle. Let me get this little rogue stone back over here. I think that looks good. It's about where I want those rocks to be. Okay. So I'm going to remove the popsicle stick to flatten this back out again. Just like that. Oops, sorry. And I'm going to add the rest of my resin. I'm going to add it from up here. To finish filling this up. Okay, I'm just going to give that a moment to flow into the rest of the turtle. Ooh, cat. You can't be up here. Down you go. That was close. I had forgot to shut my door. And the cat decided to pay a visit. Okay, so I don't think this mold is quite even. I can tell like it's sticking up over here. I could actually put my stick right underneath there, and so I'm not sure. So you can see when I push down on this edge how it's coming into his tail a bit more. Yeah, it's even at this end, it's even, but this end it's not. So I might find something that I can put down on there, maybe my stick or something that's not going to have the resin stick to it, so that it's a little more evened out. Put a little resin in there. I could use a popsicle stick, but I'm going to find it hard to do that. I really need something that's going to weigh this down here to allow the resin to pour into there evenly. All right. I hope this turns out. I really do like this mold. But you can see how the resin's flowing this way due to the unevenness of the mold. So I might just take a stick like this or something and like put it on here at the very edge. Something that if it gets the resin on it, it doesn't matter. Maybe I have a heavy, oops, I have a heavier one here. And I could put that down at this edge to kind of weigh it down a bit. See if that helps. So let me just pour a little bit more in here, see if it flows a little bit better into. It's still flowing that way, but it's not as bad, I don't think. Okay, just gonna add a little bit more down here where our stones are. And I am going to take my stick and edge this just for any bubbles that may be sticking around the edges. I can't do it in the stones, but I will kind of just poke in those stones. If there's any bubbles hanging out, they can come up to the top, hopefully. Okay. We'll just get down in here to get any bubbles that might be hanging out. Just going to take the stick off for a minute. Oops. So I don't care if the resin gets on the stick, the stir stick, because I can peel it off. All right, just want to make sure there's no bubbles hanging out that would cause any indents once it's dry. Okay, so I think I'm good. I'm just going to leave that off for a minute. I can see some stones. It's funny, it's like those little tiny white stones are floaters. Just want to make sure this is full. Then I'll take my lighter, get any bubbles out. Then we're going to let it dry. All right. So I'll see you guys back here when this is dry. All right, it's dry. Let's see what we have. It's still a little bendy, but we can take it out. So let's go ahead and take it out and see what our turtle looks like. There we go. I like it. It's just the two colors. And oh, I like how that blue is kind of see-through with the green. Look at that, guys. I think this turned out really nice. You can see the fish and the snorkelers in the blue. Little seahorse. My rocks aren't really prominent at the bottom, but you can see them. I'm pleased with how this turned out. I think it's going to look really nice hanging up. Let me get a background for you guys to see it. Let's go with the green one, since it matches the green on the turtle. See if I can get light over here without shining too much on it. There we go. What do you guys think? It's simple, but I think it turned out really nice. I wasn't really sure how to do this with those, with these crevices and that. Now you could just do it and then once it comes out, do it from this side. But, and where the mica is, I knew that those raised areas from the other side would not be shiny. So they do have the matte look to them, but the water, the blue part is shiny. And then you can see the little riverbed rocks, or whatever you call them, down here at the bottom. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.